That's right, that's the big story that we're tracking at this hour. Israel's Defense Minister Israel Katz has said that Iran's security chief Ali Larijani is dead. That's the big story that we're tracking at this hour. Iran's Supreme National Security Council Secretary Ali Larijani targeted in the single most momentous targeted killing since the beginning of the war on the 28th of February. 3 separate sources have confirmed to the Jerusalem Post, the publication in Israel, this latest massive development in the context of the war in West Asia. Ali Larijani's death confirmed now by Israel's Defense Minister Israel Katz shortly after it was put out on Israeli media. The IDF, or the Israeli Defense Forces, has also confirmed that it had assassinated the head of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, the elite military force that controls the security establishment of Iran. IRGC's chief has now said that his deputy Seyyed Karishi, the two were killed in a makeshift tent area which had been set up to make it harder to follow them as opposed to in a known headquarters. The military also announced that it killed the IRGC's Aerospace Force chief as well. That's the latest big story that's breaking over here. Ali Larijani, the security chief of Iran, being killed in an Israeli strike. Israel's defense minister confirming that development. IDF also confirming that it assassinated the head of the IRGC Basij paramilitary militia, Gholamreza Soleimani, and his deputy Seyyed Karishi as well. Those two being killed in a makeshift tent area which had been set up to make it harder to follow them as opposed to being in the headquarters. Let's now bring in all the guests joining us at this hour. We have Air Commodore Ashminder Singh Bahl, defense and geopolitical expert, joining us. Thank you so much for taking time out to be with us. Sir, in the context of the war, tell us how massive this development is. Ali Larijani has now been taken out by Israel.
First of all, you are right that Israel has claimed that in their strikes on a tent in which he was there, ensured that he and another member got killed. If you remember, Americans had given a $10 million award notice that any senior military officials or generals whose information was given, and if they were killed, the $10 million would be given. It has been a known strategy of Israel and US to target the military leaders and political leaders, and especially those leaders who are at the helm of decision making, so that they can cause a significant moral degradation in the country that they have targeted at. Now, this gentleman was not just the secretary of the National Security Council. He was very close to the earlier Ayatollah Khamenei, and he was also his main advisor. At the same time, he was the one who had undertaken the nuclear discussions in 2005 to 7. He was one person who was, though a very great conservative, but he was considered to be more moderate than others. I'm not so sure that it is going to pay very rich dividends to the Americans, but definitely when you start killing off experienced senior leadership, you do cause a moral degradation over a period of time. And also the experience that these guys have, in whether in military planning, on strategy making, if the young blood comes in, they may not be as exposed to this experience as this gentleman had over a period of time. They have also simultaneously targeted the Basij Force Brigadier Soleimani, and with the result, the Basij Force that has got about lakhs of people connect, and they are the volunteer force, and they actually make a big difference if there is a trouble like the protest that took place, or if you want certain rigging of elections, or you want the army to be supported in certain operations from the ground level.
Right. The only thing I want to ask you this is, Air Commodore Ashminder Singh Bahl, is this: you have the new supreme leader also reportedly in treatment somewhere for an injured leg. Now you're the security chief and a couple of senior members from the paramilitary militia also being taken out. Is Iran being decisively weakened with these strikes?
One thing, yes, there is definitely a weakening, but let me also tell you the succession planning had taken place during Ayatollah Khamenei's time and it had gone to third layer. So currently we are at the second layer that is getting targeted. So if even if this layer goes off, there are enough leaders that would come in, and mostly the thinking of the ideology with which Khamenei was ruling, that ideology remains, even if the succession people come in. Of course, the experience level comes down and the ability to strategize also degrades. But at the same time, because the ideology is the same, there is going to be no major reshuffle in regime change that can take place in this short period of time. A and B, because wherever there is autocracy, there is a habit of listening to the authority. So whoever is in authority or rule, that person can still exercise control, and there's going to be no large scale protests as had taken place earlier.
Okay, we're just let's put it into perspective. Who Ali Larijani is? He is the crisis manager for the supreme leader. He has been the chief of the IRGC, the commander of the IRGC, and the single most important man governing the security of Iran, especially now, all the more important because this is wartime that we are talking about, and that man has been taken out. It's certainly, if not anything, a morale boosting victory for US and Israel, and a morale defeat as far as Iran is concerned.
Absolutely. You are absolutely right. It's definitely going to make a great difference in degradation of morale, especially when Mujtaba himself, this gentleman is next most important person than Mujtaba. So Mujtaba is important and then he is important. So you are going to knock off virtually the second, and now we are knocking off brigadiers. So you're knocking off the third level of succession also. So somewhere down the line, it does cause a great degree of moral degradation, especially when capability itself is being degraded systematically over a period of time every day. And also the planning, the strategizing. Not every leader who just sits into the cockpit can say, okay, now I can take decisions. It takes him time to understand the place. Though he's following the same ideology, he's also is being groomed in a particular manner of thinking. But at the same time, you are absolutely right to say that there is eventually going to be a total accumulation of moral degradation.
Going forward, it looks like the strategy is clear as far as Israel is concerned. This is go inside Iran, take out their top leadership one after the other. That's exactly what they said. You appoint a new supreme leader, that new supreme leader becomes the target. Now, Mujtaba Khamenei is already a target. Now he is a wounded target. Do you expect then in the next coming hours and days, Israel will intensify this, taking out Iran's most critical manpower at this stage?
You're absolutely right. See, right now, the center of gravity are the drones and missiles, and obviously the enemy's strategic decision making. Now, both are going to be the center of gravity. So they are targeting both. They are also targeting the second and third layer. If you remember Trump's statement, where he said that we are going to target up to the third layer so that there is hardly any succession left thereafter. And secondly, the strategizing part over, they are also looking at hitting at the drones and missile infrastructure so that there is a systematic degradation of their ability to fight. So one is will to fight, which you rightly brought out in the cause of moral degradation, and the second is capability to fight. But at the same time, with the large number of missile cities and drone centers that are underground at areas where it is extremely difficult to target and destroy them completely, the Iran would continue to have. Another important aspect is this ability of strategizing has already been done, and there is a mosaic defense which is being carried out by Iran. Mosaic defense means that even if you do not have a central leadership functioning in the regions, that is Prant, which they call it, in the regions, there are IRGC leaderships that have been briefed as to what to do as the time passes and what are the target systems that they should take on. And if X thing happens, then what should you do in Y? So that kind of mosaic defense has already been prepared. And it is for this reason that despite large scale attacks on the political and military leadership, at the same time, Iran is able to respond. But one thing you must have seen, the ability to respond has started coming down. If you see the number of attacks that were carried out from missiles and drones has reduced over a period of time. Though Trump calls it 90% reduction, I don't believe that. There is still significant firepower left. But what is happening is that this is getting degraded day by day.
It is getting degraded day by day. And the problem is that it looks like with the strike on Ali Larijani, the end game is really beginning here, isn't it? Because everybody wants this war to end at the earliest. The US has professed to wanting the war to end. Trump has said, I don't want this war to go on forever. Israel is already tired. It already had, has spent quite a bit of its energy in the previous war. So everybody is looking at an end game. Do you think the end of Ali Larijani could be beginning of the end game as far as this war is concerned?
See, one thing great which Iran has done for its defense is that it has closed the Straits of Hormuz. And till the Straits of and because Trump has not been able to get any of his objectives, whether it is regime change, whether reducing the long-range ballistic missile capability to zero, or 440 kgs of enriched uranium, seizing them. So he hasn't been able to attain any of these three. So the next major objective, which he can call that he declares victory, is opening up of Straits of Hormuz. That is the reason why he's running around and calling other countries to come in. But the defense there is an asymmetric layered naval defense strategy, which includes the drones in air, drone boats, underwater vehicles, as well as anti-ship missile, ballistic missile, and cruise missiles, and also a large number of prefabricated missile mines that can be put into the sea just in that 33-kilometer stretch. So unless he opens the Straits of Hormuz, there is very little margin left with Trump to claim victory. He has been able to cause systematic degradation. He's been able to cause devastation in Iran, but victory will only be measured if he can get the Straits of Hormuz open.
Okay, the only other question I have to ask is that so far, we only thing we know is that it is Israel and the Israeli Defense Forces, the Israeli Defense Minister and Israeli media, which is claimed that Ali Larijani is dead. Do you think that there could still be a surprise awaiting us that Ali Larijani is probably not dead?
Absolutely, absolutely. I was going to come to this. It just slipped my mind to tell you that none of the Iranian sources have yet confirmed. They haven't come out with any of these statements. And in case of Ayatollah Khamenei, if you remember, they did come out. It took them one day, but they did come out with a statement next day. So if he's actually been killed by tomorrow or day after, they would definitely come out with this statement, and the situation will be clear. Yes, it is going to be a major setback to Iran with the killing of Ali Larijani as well as Brigadier Soleimani.
And also put into perspective, as far as the strike on the Basij militia is concerned, the top two of Basij militia has been taken out. How crucial and how important is that?
Basij Militia is the backbone of the support that IRGC gets at the tactical level, right up to the villages and provinces. So, if the Basij Militia, which carried out in 2009 rigging of elections, and they put their own people, you know that the system in Iran is a dual system. One side is the ideological supreme commander with guardian council that ensures that the parliament that is elected is going at the right direction. So, and who helps them? There are two agencies that help them. One is IRGC and other is the Basij Militia. And this is basically a volunteer militia which is wedded to the cause of Ayatollah Khamenei as well as wedded to the cause of Shias. So if we say that their leadership is being killed, yes, the glue that binds the Basij militia together is being weakened.
Right. One last thing before we let go of you, Air Commander Rashminder Singh Bahal. Tell us the one question that's in the mind of everybody. How long do you think this war is going to last?
The most important aspect is that Trump needs something big, and he's waiting for that. But the more the war extends is in the favor of the Iranians. And like one statement that I had made myself is that if you wait long enough at the crematorium, you will find the ashes of your enemies float by, which implies that the intention of Iran is to extend the war to cause political, military, economic damage, including damage to the American businesses, and forcing the Gulf allies to choose between the Gulf and the Iran as well as with America. So now, if the Americans, even if they've caused
Right.
tremendous amount of devastation, just last, I personally feel that in a few days, the backdoor talks would commence to a
Okay.
greater level, and there should be some talks happening within this week itself.
Okay, fair enough. Hold on to that thought, Air Commodore Ashminder Singh Bahl. We have some breaking news coming in. Even as Israel claims that it has killed Iran's top security official Ali Larijani, a handwritten note attributed to him has now surfaced. In that note, Larijani has paid tribute to fallen Iranian Navy personnel, saying that their sacrifice will remain in the nation's memory and strengthen Iran's armed forces for years to come. He has also prayed for their highest place in the afterlife. Now, the timing of this message, this significant message at a significant time, because coming just moments after Israel claimed that they have killed Ali Larijani, and it could indicate either prior communication or an attempt to counter those claims. We don't know that, but the fact of the matter is now a handwritten note by Ali Larijani. That is the handwritten note written in Persian, in Farsi. That note essentially is paying tribute to the fallen Iranian Navy personnel. This is the social media post, apart from the handwritten note that is there on your screens right now, on the occasion of the funeral ceremony for the valiant martyrs of the Islamic Republic of Iran's Navy. Their memory forever